The global capital market structure has had little change in the last 100 years. Aside from migrating to electronic trading, most present-day exchanges continue looking for analog solutions in a digital age. At GSEG, we have met the challenge by creating an innovative exchange platform for commodities which currently do not have central price discovery mechanisms. It is well suited for the changing background and geopolitical market conditions which would typically disrupt traditional physical and financial supply chains. Now, GSEG's proprietary world-class platform combines cutting-edge technologies, including blockchain technologies, smart contracts, and tokenization, resulting in instant settlement, pre-transactional verification, and payment processing. Furthermore, the platform creates a single source of immutable truth, something the commodity markets have needed desperately since their inception. Now let's take a closer look at the platform. Now, as we look at the navigation bar, of course, we see what we would want. We see our trade bar, our order bar, and our wallet bar. Now, we've left room for further bars, and those bars, of course, will include transit, they'll include futures, and they'll include testing, things that we find vital, especially for the cash market, and in particular for the hemp market. We'll see all those populated along the top eventually. As we go about and we want to be able to work seamlessly from one of those navigation bars to the other, it becomes very important for that to be there, all on one pane of glass. Now, looking at the instrument panel on the left here, of course, we can see how important it is to see the products that are trading. We can see some which are listed and some which are actually paused. Now, the paused products are listed also, but they are not trading. In other words, we have them ready to be actually activated, and those are markets that either have been requested or we find that there is a need for those markets. Again, these are markets that might not have a lot of volume, but we need to have them out there because this is the entire hemp market as we see it, but more importantly, as the entire industry sees it. So as we go through the instrument panel, of course, we can see all the different markets that are available, and what we would do is we could see the various things that we would allow for the traders to see. The last in that market, of course, the net change, and the volume that's taking place. All of these things are absolutely vital for traders and investors alike. Now, we could see what happens when we actually click one of those products. We could see it populated up on top. What we would normally see right below us is a price chart. And then, of course, there are filled and order tickets down below, all of which is going to be very important. The price chart in the middle is going to be also followed by a spec sheet display, which is going to have a zone map. All of that is going to be vital too. So looking at the orders, though, we could see the open orders, we could see our filled orders, and more importantly, it's giving us an idea of what's been filled, what do we have as far as a partial fill, and more importantly, what's out there. Remember, we need to know what we're still working. Here are our filled orders. Of course, we can see exactly what we have, how many have been filled, and where we're going. As we take a look at the actual price ladder itself, it's very important to see how easily and seamlessly, and more importantly, how very, very innovative it might be for those that don't understand trading. This is something that normally we would see in other types of front-end systems, but we've incorporated this price ladder into the cash market system also. So not only will we see this eventually when we're allowed to trade futures through the regulatory approval, but more importantly, it gives us the same ability to be able to trade the same way using the same price ladder. That's very important. So as we take a look at this central area, it also gives us an idea of what the prices are, what the changes are, and where we're going to see those specs filled. Remember, that spec window, folks, is very important. As we talk about these various markets, each spec will be different. The various nuances will also allow for arbitrage between these various products. The specs of the products could be as varied as crude oil from all over the world is for energy, all of which has to be taken into account by buyers and by sellers. Sellers need to come up with the exact specs if they're going to come out to this market, and buyers need to know exactly what those specs are. Again, having all of this on one pane of glass makes life a lot easier for people that are trading and have exposure to this market. So as we go, we'll continue to work our way through it. let's take a look at the orders. And this is our order navigation bar. Now, this is a very, very common type of order navigation bar, and we could see this is very intuitive, something that every trader needs. Remember, when we're talking about certain things for front ends, like orders and order flow and order dissemination, it's very important to be consistent with the rest of the industry. This is very consistent with the rest of the industry, except for one very vital, important point, and that is that we have incorporated everything into one wallet. So now we could trade cash, we can trade futures, we can trade derivatives, we can trade everything off of one wallet, which is sitting right in front of us, and that is that last bar that we're looking at right now. Of course, the functionality to be able to withdraw and deposit is right there. And then, of course, we get an idea of how many we have available tokens, how many tokens are frozen, of course, our balance. All of this is very important. And we talked about freezing tokens a little while ago. Let's understand why that's so very important. Remember, when we're talking about pre-transactional verification and we're talking about seamless settlement, it's very important to make sure that the capital, and in this case the tokens, are already accounted for. In this case, we would freeze them. The exchange freezes those tokens unless the order is canceled. In this case, we see this trader with 17 frozen tokens for full spectrum. That is because there's an order working for full spectrum. 48 frozen for biomass with 11%. All of which needs to be accounted for, and more importantly, as we see the activity take place, we want to make sure that everything right now has pre-transactional verification attached to it, making life a lot easier for buyers and sellers. Again, this type of navigation, as we go back to our trade window, gives a trader a very intuitive look at the markets and an intuitive understanding of the asset class itself. Hemp is only the beginning. GSCG will move on to other products as a multi-asset class commodity exchange.